as we know, Joe Biden has dropped out of the 2024 race, and there are some responses that I find worth showcasing here. Some good, some bad, some based, some cringe. We're going to run kind of the whole gamut here. We're going to start with our friend Jimmy Dore, who, by the way, thanks to Jimmy Dore for opening up the show this evening. Thanks for warming up the crowd for us. I know you went live a little while ago. Appreciate that very much.
Oh, he went live?
Yeah, he went live. Well, warm up. He's a great warm up act for us.
Yes. Yes.
So thanks for that.
I really like his prop comedy.
Right, loosens everybody up.
Close up magic.
Yeah, exactly. Feels like this was the party's plan all along, which is why they didn't allow any debates or a real primary, and why they had to make sure they forced RFK out of the primary because he would be next in line for the nomination in this situation. Doing it this way, only loyal establishment party delegates would be selected for the convention, so when the party finally forced Biden out, they would have only establishment loyal delegates to choose the new nominee, assuring an establishment nominee. So the Democrats rigged another primary, which makes that 3 in a row from the party who says that democracy is on the ballot. LOL. Once again, the Democratic Party doesn't have elections. They have a C-election for the presidential nominee, and you're just going to have to take it. Yes.
Yep.
No lies.
Well, there you go. They wanted Kamala 8 years ago, and even though she's terrible, they got her.
They got her. They figured out a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Jill Stein has a similar thought. Joe Biden had been removed from power by the same anti-democratic forces that rigged the field for him in 2020 and skipped the primary to anoint him in 2024. Don't be fooled.
Bitch, mofo.
That's right. Don't be fooled. The same DNC elites that put him in power will replace him with another tool for Wall Street and the war machine. We will continue to fight oligarchy, empire, and genocide like our lives depend on it, because, in fact, they do. All right. You can't get on the ballot in New York like your lives depend on it, but, well, whatever. I mean, there's a good sentiment there. Good sentiment there. And you'd think maybe Bernie Sanders, the guy who was on the receiving end of that rigging, might have a similar thing to say. Oh, no. Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden has served our country with honor and dignity. As the first president to ever walk on a picket line with striking workers, he has been the most pro-working class president in modern American history. Thank you, Mr. President, for all you've done. Gavin Newsom. What did Newsom say? Biden is our nominee, Biden is our nominee, Biden is our nominee, on and on and on until he's not. President Biden has been an extraordinary history-making president, a leader who has fought hard for working people and delivered astonishing results for all Americans. He will go down in history as one of the most impactful and selfless presidents. Thank you, Joe Biden. Only took him 3.5 weeks before he fell asleep on a debate stage to finally be forced out of the race. And you know what?
Selfless.
That's time you don't get back. You can't put that time on the clock, right?
Yep.
I mean, you cost your party a month.
Okay, so what's gonna be fun is when Kamala loses and they start writing the op-eds about how Joe Biden should have dropped out sooner. No. They're going to say he should have dropped out sooner. They're going to turn on him.
I don't know, man. I think they're going to say he should have stayed in.
Well, I think you'll have that take too. But that's a hard take, man, because he's mentally incompetent. Like, how do you make that case? Oh yeah, we should have run the guy with Parkinson's and dementia. That would have been the way to go. But they'll never admit that they are in any way responsible for their own failures. I think once you start to have a couple of those articles, Biden knew his condition, the floodgates are going to open.
Possible. Ilhan Omar. Thank you, Mr. President. This was the president's decision to make, and I'm grateful for his years of service to our country. Thrilled to support Kamala Harris as our Democratic nominee and remain committed to working alongside her to defeat Donald Trump in November. So she's on board for Kamala. That's another endorsement from Ilhan Omar.
Wow.
Jamal Bowman apparently didn't get the memo that the party hates him and kicked him out. Now that President Biden has suspended his campaign, Vice President Kamala Harris is the most qualified and best choice to lead us forward. I don't know what you mean by us. since
All right,
you've
so
been
he's
forced
hoping they'll
out.
give him a job leading the kitchen staff or something, and a
Fire safety chief.
Harris
Yep.
Harris administration, yeah, fire safety, perfect for that.
Now, some of the real dug-in Biden people didn't take this so well. Chris D. Jackson. I hope all of you anti-Biden people are happy. You just forced the best president of our lifetimes off the ticket. What happens now is all on you.
Even better than Saint Obama, huh? Wow.
Well, this is
Wow.
what I'm telling you, how there are going to be some people when Harris loses who are going to say, "See, you should have stuck with
Those
Joe
people.
Biden." Yep.
Those people, but I think the punditocracy is more likely to go with the it's time we had an honest conversation about Joe Biden and the people on his staff who knew his condition. What would we have been able to do if Joe Biden had decided not to run for a second term and we had had a real primary?
Well, that, sure. I'm talking about post-debate. Like, yeah, that you might see some second guessing as to he should not have run at all, and there should have been an open primary. Now, realistically, Democrat voters are sheep. I say that. In an open primary, Kamala had the edge because of who she is, because she's the vice president. A lot of money would have been, behind her. Biden, you would assume, would have backed her. And so it would have been tough to unseat her anyway. Somebody would have gotten close, and then they would have rigged it against them, and then we'd be here, oh, we were this close, we had it, and they stole it, blah, blah, blah. That's what would have happened.
I mean, not necessarily in terms of that, because they don't give a shit if Gretchen Whitmer or Gavin Newsom wins. They don't care.
Yeah, but I don't know.
It's not like Bernie, who they considered an existential threat to their way of doing business. Wrongly, I think, in hindsight, but that was how they saw it.
Yeah,
you cost these people 2 grains of rice, they can't sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Tristan Snell, I would be furious right now, and maybe I will be later, but there's no time for that. There are 106 days until the election. We need every ounce of our energy to be focused on defeating Donald Trump. It's go time.
We are dozens.
Yes.
Dozens!
This is one of my favorites, before and after tweets. So, hold the line. We got this, says Brooklyn Dad Defiant. That was at 12:58 p.m., so that was about an hour before Biden dropped down. And then his first tweet after, 2:52. Damn. That's. Harry Sisson, growing up, he took the news well. He still got his gig. He's got nothing to worry about. He's good. He's all good. Joe Biden will go down in history as an American hero, a selfless politician and leader who put the country before himself every single time, which is the complete opposite of Donald Trump.
Except for this time.
Yeah, except for this one time. We, the American people, owe him our gratitude and appreciation. Well, he'll fit right in. I'm sure he'll do the TikToks for Kamala and everything. So he's really got nothing to worry about. So, he was much more mature than the Brooklyn Dad. Much more mature than Chris Jackson or Tristan Snell.
His bread is still buttered.
His bread is still buttered, man. Took it well. All right, now we're going to get into the based takes. These are the based takes. Saul Williams. I ain't reading all that. Free Palestine. The great Saul Williams, by the way. Saul Williams, this just happened to come up, like one of the first responses I read. But this is the Saul Williams. How many in the chat know who Saul Williams is? Rapper, performance artist, poet, actor. He was in a Broadway play, like a hip-hop musical a few years ago. But I know Saul Williams because Saul Williams went to my elementary school. He's a Newburgh guy. And,
really?
Yeah. And when his movie came out, Slam, which came out of Sundance, that was a huge deal at our elementary school. Posters everywhere, even though nobody at the school was allowed to watch it, since that was, to put it mildly, not a kid's movie. But Saul Williams, good people. I would expect nothing different from him. I ain't reading all that. Free Palestine. Yes. Well done. Owen Jones. Joe Biden has the blood of tens of thousands of Palestinians on his hands. Israel would never have been able to raise Gaza to the ground without him. I'm a non-believer, but if hell exists, that man would have a first-class ticket there. A monster who belongs in jail. Ooh,
you go,
hot.
Owen.
Hot.
You go, Owen.
Low-key, genocide Joe Biden stands down. Gaza will live long after him. Amen. Aaron Mate. If we valued human life, he would have been forced out for enabling Israel's mass murder and starvation campaign in Gaza, not to mention provoking and prolonging a proxy war against Russia in Ukraine that's cost hundreds of thousands of lives. But we only value money, and his moneyed faction decided that he was no longer a reliable investment. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Once the leadership turns on you, the money dries up and you can't run a campaign without it, and that is what forced him out. And just to show you how far he has fallen.
And this should, I'm sorry, but even if you are blue MAGA, this should be really instructive for you in regards to who controls your politics.
Yes.
Did you miss that? He got pushed out by the donors. The donors said, we're not paying anymore. So what are you doing with these primaries and everything? Why don't you just let that? They said in open court, we're a private organization. We don't have to follow any rules. We could go to a back room and pick the candidate. Why don't you let them? Because that's what they do anyway. Like, why waste your time volunteering and donating and talking about this nonsense as if you have some kind of say over the way this party is run, or indeed over the way your government is run?
Well, why even voice an opinion?
Why do you even get involved? You just saw what happened. The money people decide. You don't decide.
Right. You don't decide. So why voice an opinion? Why go on social media? Oh, I'm with Joe.
Right.
Oh, I love Joe, but Joe has to go. They don't care. They're not listening to what you have to say.
Right.
They listen to what Ari Emanuel has to say. They listen to what the heir to the Disney Corporation has to say, because they're the ones who write the checks for hundreds of thousands of dollars at a clip to their super PACs. Those people they listen to, they don't listen to you. They don't care whether you like Joe or you want him to swap out. And no matter which path they chose, these blue MAGA people would follow them anyway. So that's all the more reason where even if this were an above board process, not totally controlled by money, they still wouldn't give a shit what you have to say because they know you're going to follow them wherever you go.
Yeah, why not just drop the farce?
Right.
It's an enormous waste of time and money. I mean, I guess the consultants want it to keep going. That's how they get paid.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You've fallen far, Joe Biden, when Crystal Ball started this cycle, making a proactive case for you, and here she is. All the Joe Biden is a great man bullshit is truly sickening.
Thank you.
He dedicated, hey, maybe we should have her on. He dedicated himself to the mass slaughter of children in Gaza.
With Kyle.
Yeah, right, exactly. And if there is a shred of justice in this world, that will be the remembered legacy of his administration. We should also not forget that Biden and his cronies perpetrated a mass cover-up of his precipitous decline, and this betrayal made it far more likely that Trump once again wins the presidency. His domestic policy achievements pale in comparison to these realities. So there's a little bit of clarity from Crystal Ball.
All right, Crystal.
Now, I'm going to go to perhaps the most head-scratching take of all. This is Mehdi Hassan, who has been very good on Israel-Gaza and rightly critical of Joe Biden. But he was not as clear.
The first mainstream reporter I've seen use blue MAGA in a headline.
That's right. But he did not express the same clarity here. Maybe he alienated too many of the blue MAGA people with that article, so he's trying to win some of them back. But this is not working. On foreign policy, specifically Gaza, one of the worst, most blood-stained presidents of my lifetime. On domestic policy, without a doubt, the best, most progressive president of my lifetime. And that's what that is. That little graphic there. I don't know.
Of all the lepers that I've known, Joe Biden had the most fingers.
Genocide in Gaza, failed student debt reduction attempts that have been shot down in court. I mean, it's kind of a wash.
It's a wash.
Yeah,
it's a wash.
He thinks it's a wash.
It
Crystal
will be
Ball
for history
even knows
to
it's not a
decide
wash.
how that stacks up.
Exactly. So there you go. That is a sampling of the different takes that you have reacting to this very, very tumultuous news.
The next few weeks are going to be hard to take. That was where I really appreciate what Crystal had to say there, because that's exactly how I feel. God, the Joe Biden is great man shit. We'll get into that in another segment. Joe Biden, I have challenged libs to respond to this. This is what I used to do with Hillary when they would defend Hillary. There's the famous picture of Bill Clinton at the Stone Mountain Correction Facility, birthplace of the Ku Klux Klan, with the phalanx of black prisoners in chains behind him. And that's how he announced that he was running for president in 1992. And I would always tell them, you know, to really, if I just got sick of going back and forth, I would say, if you can give me one credible, non-racist explanation for why Bill Clinton announced his campaign this way, I give you my word, I will vote for Hillary Clinton. Not one of them ever took me up on that. Not one of them ever took me up on that. If you can name an active, living politician who has done more damage to black communities than Joe Biden, I will vote for the Democrats this year. Credibly. Can't just pull a name out of your ass. Credibly. Show me a living and active politician, still in office, that has done as much damage to black people as Joe Biden has. And I will vote Democrat if you can make a credible case.
Yeah, and no takers. No takers on that.
No. That ends the conversation, which shows you they know. They're not even ignorant of who this guy actually is when you really push them that way. So what are you talking about that he's a great man? And those are the same people who cannot bend your ear enough about how much they care about black lives and how much Black Lives Matter. Same fucking people. Okay, so why would you support this fucking monster? This monster. Why is that forgivable? That's a peasant mentality. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about a peasant mentality. You've got a man who literally destroyed tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives of mostly black and brown people, 2 generations, with his crime bill that he literally wrote with segregationists. It's complicated. It's erased by things he did that you liked. When your standards for your leaders are lower than your standards for your neighbors, you're thinking like a peasant.
Please clap.